Hey everybody, it's Kevin here, and tonight I want to talk about wedding planning. Now, you may have seen my video about the process I go through and the process map that I share with couples about planning the wedding. But tonight what I want to do is walk through the actual process that I use in terms of getting my laptop all organized, getting my files and playlists ready to go, and also preparing my day of script, which is an essential tool and key for me to execute the wedding. It also is something that I share with other vendors at the event because I want everybody to be in sync. And that's been a great value proposition for me and also a tool for me to use. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. All right, guys, so right here, you can see my Google Drive where I keep all of my files. So my planning sheets and all my wedding scripts, all my data is all here, including my music, so that I have a backup in the cloud. And even though I bring paper printouts, it's always good to have a backup on my phone. And I can, of course, access these documents via Google Drive. Anyway, what I want to show you guys is in the tools folder, I have my wedding plan template and my wedding day of script template. And basically how I do this is when I sit down with a couple and do my consultation conversation, I use this template and I basically walk the couple through this. We fill this whole thing out by hand and I'm typing the answer. And I'm typing the responses and the information into the form. And this has been so good because I know some software can do this, or some DJs will just send, the planning form to their couples to fill out. But it's so good to have the conversation with a couple because I get to know them a little bit better. Plus I can help them avoid a train wreck or, a poorly scheduled set of events in terms of their wedding night. So we walk through this. And I'm just going to show you this real briefly. If it's of value, I can walk through it in more detail later in another video, but I want to show you guys real quick. You can see up here, I talk about like the V.I.P.s, the parents, the bridesmaids and groomsmen, or whatever the bridal party looks like. I want to know the vendors, so photographer, videographer, et cetera, and how I'm to be set up. So, where I go, where I will be set up for the ceremony and or reception, where how I'm doing microphone setup, etc. All those things. Then I get into things like the timeline and special song selections. So things like the processional song, the recessional song, all this. And then of course, you can kind of see wherever I have bold, it's a time. So I have like wedding party introduction time, dinner start time, etc. So I'm capturing all this data, who's doing the toasts, et cetera. And then down here, all the like little extras. So things like special songs, like inside joke songs that will just make the family go crazy if they hear it at the reception. Lighting options, how to handle song requests, things that they do not want to hear at the wedding. So these are the kind of questions that I ask, and I walk through this template during my consultation with the couple. And again, I think that is very important to do with me entering in the information as opposed to just getting this sheet filled out by the couple. Sometimes I'll send it to them, like especially if they're very organized, if they come to our wedding planning session and they've got the binder, you know what I'm talking about, the binder, and they got tabs and stuff and they're all set and ready to go. I'll say, hey guys, just for planning purposes, if you guys want to take a peek, don't fill it out because we'll do it together, but take a peek and I'll send them this copy of this form. But I do not encourage them to fill it out because I want to do it via conversation. Okay, so there's that. That's a template. And then I use that information and I put together my day of script. And that's what this is right here. And this basically, it's not filled out. You can see XXX ... I'm going to show you guys real examples, but this is basically what I take with me. It's my piece of paper, or in Google Docs or whatever, I can take it with me on my phone. But this is what I have, and I actually make a copy for vendors so they have a copy too. And they always give me good feedback that not a lot of DJs, I guess, do that. So maybe there's a tip for you. Okay, so I'm going to look at two things for you guys. One is a completed wedding that I just did a couple weeks ago, and a wedding that's coming up next weekend. So right now I'm going to go into completed, and I'm going to scroll down. This is everything probably back to 2019 or so, beginning of 2019. Okay, here we go. Morgan and Zach. So here is, I'm just going to show you guys my day of script. So again, this is the piece of paper that I bring into, I take with me. It's some people call it the cheat sheet, some people call it the script, but it's my day of planner that I have with me, and I actually send it to them a week ahead of time so the couple can see it. It's a lot more accessible and more of a utility than the other form that I showed you, the Google spreadsheet, because that is more of a information collection sheet. That's got a lot of it's boxy, it's got a lot of questions on it. This is the flow of the evening. So you can see here, I usually have everything for the VIP kind of information, things like where I'm going to be, all that. You can also see here that I have the timing, and everything's blocked off into what the time of the event is, or the time of the activity. So I've got the prelude, guest arrival, and this is like typical flow for a wedding here in the Midwest. We move into ceremony, especially if ceremony is on site. I'm going to do prelude. I'm going to take care of doing music for ceremony typically, or I'm providing maybe just microphones and audio support for musicians or whatever. Then we move into cocktail while the couple finishes their photos. Then we move into the wedding party introduction, and sometimes first dance. I'd say about 50% of the time we move right into first dance and then dinner. Sometimes we go wedding party intro right into dinner, and then we do our first dance later after dinner. You can see we move into here, in this case, dinner, parent dances, spotlight dances, if you will. The dance, our dancing set, if you will. And here's a little secret weapon here. I always like to start the dance off with an all dance. So what happens is we do our first dance, of course, the father-daughter dance, mother-son dance, and then I have, I say that the couple would like everyone to come join them on the dance floor for an all dance. And typically, I'll discuss this with the couple, and if they like the idea, which most of them do, we do it. And it's great because everybody comes out to the dance floor. They get up out of their, from the dinner table, and they're slow dancing or whatever. And then we drop a banger on them to get the dance set going. And usually, if you play something that's multi-generational, something that's got cross-generational appeal, like an Uptown Funk or like a Shout or like I want to dance with somebody, something like that, you're going to get 75% of the people will stay out there for a little bit. And the photographers love that. The couple loves it because they've got an instant dance party, whatever. Okay. So good little tip. So here, we were going to do like an hour of dancing. Then we were going to do some cake cutting and do a sparkler mock send-off, which is another little tip that I picked up from a photographer one time, because, if you wait to the end of the evening, for the sparkler send-off, sometimes you don't have enough people. You don't have a ton of people because folks have peeled off, especially with COVID and everything this year in 2020. So that's a good tip. Do a sparkler send-off in the middle and then bring everybody back and keep the party going. Okay, and then we had another dance set, and this couple really wanted to dance, and we were going to finish up about 10. Kind of an early wedding, but so that's kind of like my day of script. Now, what you see about this, right? You see this pink text. Those are songs or playlists that are selections from the couple, or playlists that I have put together and curated for the evening. I'll show you that in a minute. Then we've got announcements in blue. Those are just things that I would want to say and let everybody know about. They're not word for word. These aren't verbatims, but they're just notes for me. And I like the blue text, pink text kind of differentiation because it just calls it out, pops it for me on the page. And you can kind of see. And I like having a lot of white space, on these pages, because what happens is I'm taking notes, like I'm jotting things down. I'm jotting, this song worked or whatever. If I need to make a note, like, you know what, they said the sparklers won't be ready because somebody had to go back home and get them or whatever the thing. And they won't be ready till 7:50. So let's move that. I just scratch it out and I write 7:50 on here. So anyway, it's nice to have the paper. It's nice to have some white space for some notes, and you can kind of see how things go. Let me show you the corresponding record box setup for this. Okay, so let's just keep this in your head. I've got about a half hour for Prelude. Okay, I switch over to record box, which is my DJ software. And what I'm gonna do is show you guys, I'm gonna go back into my archive, okay? So these are all the events that I started to do in record box that I've kept. And I always keep my folders, all these folder structures, and then my playlists or the crates that I use for that event. So these are the crates, and every single one of these is handmade for that event, for that couple. So I don't like just copy or replicate or have one cocktail hour playlist that I play for everybody. I really try to engineer it for the couple. So Prelude, here it is. This is the Prelude. Now, what they told me was they wanted instrumentals. And I think in our planning forum, they told me they wanted a mix of contemporary and classics. Okay, cool. New stuff and old stuff. So I got about a half hour. So look what I did. In my record box, I put 30 minutes. So I know in my head, I need about 30 minutes of music. And I pulled in, and you can kind of see, like, I've got, you can kind of see the year here. You know, I got some older stuff. I got like Four Seasons, Vivaldi. I've got Moonlight Sonata by Mozart. And then I got some newer, instrumentals like Despacito, Young and Beautiful, Rather Be. And so I did what they wanted. And also, when I hover over this, or when I select this playlist, notice that Rekordbox tells me 46 minutes worth of music. Great. I got my 30 minutes and then some. It's always good to have a little more than you need. In fact, somebody told me that they always go double. Like, if you need 30 minutes, bring 60. If you need 120 minutes, go 240, whatever. That's a good practice, because you never want to have too little. And it's always good to have these playlists planned before, so you're not struggling around. I can set this up and say, I've got my Prelude ready to go. And then I can be free mentally kind of to do other things. Now, later we'll talk about how you've got to be more lively and more connected with the real time, what's going on around you, especially around dancing. Okay, we'll talk about that. So, but you can kind of see I've got, 60 minutes for cocktail music, 60 minutes for dinner, 180 minutes for dancing. So you can kind of see I'm trying to mimic what's in my schedule. Now, the way I do it is wherever I have like a block of music, like Prelude or cocktail or dinner, I just kind of have a playlist here, and they're not in order. I don't play it necessarily in order, but I've got the songs more than I need in terms of time, but I've got the songs that they requested, and then the feel and the vibe that they wanted in here. Okay. Now, when I go into this folder, intro, this is like the bridal party introduction, which the wedding party was coming into I Got a Feeling. You can kind of see right here. I Got a Feeling. Okay. And then the bride and groom want to be coming into this Prince song. And I got that right here. That's next. And then all these other songs are like the father-daughter dance, the mother-son dance, the cake cutting song, those kind of things. So I keep this folder just as, it's like the specials, all the things that I know I'm going to want to have handy. I don't want to be searching for Forever by Chris Brown. I don't want to be searching for In My Daughter's Eyes by Martina McBride, because what if I make a typo? What if I just don't want, I want it all right there handy. Super helpful. Then dinner, of course, and dancing. Now dancing, what I do with dancing is I usually start my dancing with, I put up here at the top any songs, the first songs in the list. I usually put any of the songs that I know that they want. Okay, so I know that they wanted, for example, Save That Money by Lil Dicky. They wanted some other songs, like line dances, some 90s hip hop, which this is a really fun wedding, by the way. Anyway, I know what they wanted here. So I went ahead and filled the front part of my playlist with those songs because they're handy. And I know that I want to get through those in the night. I'm not going to play them in order. I'm not going to play them in this order. I'm not going to play 3 or 4 Queen songs in a row, for example. I'm not going to play, all these funk, Parliament, and Funkadelic songs in a row. But I've got them handy so I can put them into the evening as it flows. Now, I love this kind of wedding because they give me a direction. They give me a feel or a vibe like 90s hip hop, Missy Elliott, DMX. And I'm like, I got you. You know, I'm vibing with it. I understand what you want. And then I can bring in like, hey, we've got the Heavy D's. We got some Heavy D and the Boys. We got some Naughty by Nature, some Crisscross, some Coolio. You can see all these bangers, right? All these great songs. And they kind of set the vibe. They told me the tone they wanted. And then I just went with it and I kind of pulled stuff together in this playlist. Now, that I don't necessarily play all these songs. As you know, as a good DJ, you have to see, pardon me, what everybody is reacting to, what people are excited about. So if I go, this is the playlist I had, or the crate, if you will. But if I went into histories and I show you and everything, I just keep everything in here since I started doing Record Box and playing with this laptop in late 2018. And if I go into November 7th, so all my events are just in here, like they're just recorded. Here's everything I played that night in order, okay? 136 tracks, and this is the order I played them in. Now, this will not equal the crate I just showed you guys. In fact, there's a lot of songs in the crate that I didn't play because, well, look at this. This crate is, I only needed 180 minutes, like 3 hours worth or so. And I have 5.5 hours worth. Okay, cool. And even with mix outs and, short plays and quick mixing and things which I was doing a little later in the evening, I did not play that many songs. I played 136 the whole night. So if I go back to the histories, what I'm trying to say is that, Neon Moon was not in my list, was not in my playlist. What happened was I was doing this stuff, and then somewhere in here, one of the cousins of the bride came up with the bride, and they wanted to sing Neon Moon with a microphone and against the track in the background or whatever. So I'm like, sure, let's do it. And when you do those kind of things, you're not planning on that song. Also, as a DJ, hey, there was a whole set of like, I kind of call it like twerk or twerk type of hip hop. We were doing like some Right There and, I don't know, I and Get Your Freak On and, some of these songs. And not all these were in the playlist. I got the vibe from the group and I was like, I'm going to run with this and keep going. So I don't think Plain Jane was in my mix originally, Bounce Back. I just kind of went with the vibe. You know what I'm saying? So that's all part of the DJ experience and the fun of it. So anyway, the history will show you that it's not, I don't play exactly what the list is, but this gets me started. It has me prepared. So that's pretty much how that is put together. This document, I usually bring a copy or several copies actually, so that the whole crew at the wedding, the vendors, the partners, they can all have a copy, and it's great. I'm going to show you guys an upcoming wedding I have with Quentin and Brenna. Okay, and this one is coming up actually in just a week, and so I'm in the middle of planning and doing my planning process. So what I've got here is I've got my typical, the green spreadsheet down at the bottom. That is the planning form that we went through before. I've got my day of script that I've put together for them, and I've got a copy for the vendors because I don't want things like my announcements or things like a little note about the couple, maybe balance due or whatever. I don't want to put that in on the vendor's version of the form, so I make two versions. And then Quentin and Brenna want to do the Newlywed Shoe Game, so I make a little sheet of questions, and that's just a copy. I use a bank of questions, and I pull certain ones that I think will go and work with certain couples. Like this couple, very religious, and I have a question sometimes I'll ask about like who snores the loudest. I'm not going to ask that because they're very religious, and I don't want to get them embarrassed by, because they probably haven't experienced snoring together yet. Okay, so I'm not gonna put them on the spot there. Anyway, so let's get into their planning form. Very different wedding, not a bunch of hip hop and not a bunch of, and actually they're a lot more country and a lot more spiritual, actually, and you'll see that. So up here up front, a lot of, VIP data and information that I have here in my planning forum. A little bit about their prelude music, their ceremony, similar flow to the last time. Cocktail hour. We've got the wedding party introduction. They will not be going into their first dance. They'll be going right into dinner. We have dinner, toasts, spotlight dances, dancing for a little bit. We've got some dancing with some cake cutting, newlywed shoe game, some more dancing, bouquet and garter, and then we're done by 9. Actually, another kind of early wedding, but this one is definitely a little different feel and different vibe that the couple wanted. For example, no dance lights. They didn't want to encourage too much dancing. No group or line dances. Okay, they didn't want too much of that. And this was what I was talking about. I wouldn't put that out there to the vendors. Brenna doesn't like pop music. She, no, they don't care about that, and they don't need to know that. And things like little notes or announcements that I would put, I don't give that to the vendors. So their version of this form, I don't put that on. But so I'm right in the middle of this, guys. So I just made back up here that I showed you guys that Morgan and Zach wedding. That was in my archive here, archive crate. So check this out. Here's my current events crate, wherever I'm working on putting together or curating some playlists. And my next couple events are right here. So Brenna and Quentin and Brenna are actually a folder, and I've got the playlists. Now, I'm doing the same thing as you can see, but since no line dances and doesn't really like pop music, that's kind of a curveball for me. That's, line dances are sometimes a good tool, right? To get people moving. And I know some DJs don't like to use line dances, but sometimes they're a good tool for people. And people, at least in the Midwest where we are in Cincinnati, Ohio market, tri-state, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio market, people like that, the line dances. So we'll use them, but we're not going to do them here. So I want to make sure I don't accidentally do that. She was very adamant about that. So you make sure to do what the couple wants. So you can kind of see how I'm setting up these folders. Prelude, again, 30-minute prelude. We got the cocktail hour, etc. Same way as before, but a little different music style. So we get into Prelude, and they, and I bounce it back over to the form. I took a note, on my planning template that they just wanted to hear music from Peter Ostrusko, who is a very, like an Appalachian kind of, I didn't know the guy. I didn't know his music, but through this process, you get to learn new music. How cool is that, right? Like I got to explore, and my little rating system, some of my other videos you might have seen, I rate songs, and these are my rating systems. I don't really love the songs. They're very ambient. Here's my energy level rating. They're very instrumental and ambient, very chill, here's I don't know if you can hear that. It's Appalachian music. It's kind of like background music. Some of his stuff I saw that, were in movies and things like that. And I don't mind some of it, actually. Some of it's kind of cool sounding. But that's what they love, and that's what they're going to get. So I loaded up on some Peter O and music, and here we go. That'll be our prelude. And notice I've got 48 minutes of Peter O. So that'll cover my prelude, my ceremony. If you look, ceremony, our wedding party processional, lovers waltz duet. This one, I got it in there. Great. Next song, Ashokan Farewell. Great. So I'll go in my collection. This is how I do it, guys. Let me turn off my filters. I just go in here and I Ashokan Farewell. And of course, during the process of meeting with the couple, I'll hear and tune in to any kind of songs that they want that I might not have in my library, and I'll buy them, get them, whatever. And I'll have, for example, this song I had to get, and I'll bring this in and I'll put it right in the ceremony folder for the bridal processional. So look, I've got that one. They've got 2 songs they want me to play, and they're going to sing. They're going to have the guests sing, they've actually got words printed in their program. They're doing like, like old school printed paper program that will have the words to these 2 hymns in them. So we got the 2 songs, "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus." So I checked that out. Okay. All right. Here it is. And I'm going to bust that in here. So on and so forth. So you guys don't have to watch me do all that, but you can kind of see how I'm doing it. Now, some cocktail music. I got some, and these are just a couple things that I was thinking of, because if you look at their cocktail, they want country, 90s, Travis Tritt, Tim McGraw, etc. Great. I'm cool about that vibe. And look what I can do. I can go into my collection, and since I have a pretty well organized collection, I can come here and I can say country. I can say, show me toe tappers and groove a little bit songs. Give me, in terms of years, sort by years. And here you go. I'm in the 90s. I've got my 90s country that could fit really well. Like, okay, Dust on the Bottle. Great. That's a good one for that part of the, for the cocktail hour. I've got Walking in Memphis. And here's some things, guys. As you can see, I'm curating based on what they want. But I want to, I haven't been given a ton of direction here. This is what I got from them. We like country. We want our vibe to be like 90s country for cocktail. We want to be, Travis Tritt, Tim McGraw, Brooks and Dunn, Brad Paisley, some older Kenny Chesney. That's all they gave me. Okay. Now, what's great about that is I've got some freedom, but I'm going to use the artist that they told me. Okay. But then I can kind of dip in a little bit and say, you know what? I really like, for example, Black Velvet. Okay. Great song. It's, almost in the 90s, 89. It's got that country twang vibe to it. And what this column is DJ play count. I've never played that at an event, but I like the song. Gave it a 4 stars for me. I'm going to play that I'm bringing that right over. They're going to hear that at their cocktail, or at least their guests will, because I want to make this fun for me and fun for everybody. So it's in the zone. Something I've never played before. So let's bring it out. Let's keep it fresh. Let's not just do like the same old. Like if I sort this by play count, I'll name the dogs by Blake Shelton. I played that 19 times over the past 2.5 years at cocktail hours or dinners. Okay. That's a lot. Not just weddings, but other events too, I guess. But that's a lot. Okay. It's a good song. I like it. Gave it a 4 stars. But I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it on this one. I just, now some of these, Unforgettable. Great song. Has just a good beat. It's a sweet song. It's newer. I'm going to play this. You know why? Because I'm going to drop it in. Here's why. It's from 2017. I do not want everybody, to feel like it's a stale kind of playlist. Like, oh, someone just got out their country hits from the 90s and dropped it in the CD player, or their cassette player or whatever, back in the 90s. I want people to feel like this is dynamic and it's fun. So I'm going to drop in some other stuff. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to get out of country too. I'm going to, you know what? I know she doesn't like pop, but I bet you we can probably find, check this out, in country, I can do country and pop, and I can say, hey, what are the songs that have both flavors of both genres, okay? Check this out, and I'll search, and I'll kind of get into that same zone of the years, and let's see if I got anything. Life is a Highway, good song, not too crazy. It's kind of a bust a move. I felt like the energy is a little high. Maybe that's not great for a cocktail hour. What about Follow Me, Uncle Kracker? Great song. Okay, they're getting some Uncle Kracker. A little bit of a pop feel to that one, right? They're getting some Uncle Kracker. So do you see what I'm saying? Mix it up a little bit. Bring in some fun. Maybe I might even shop in R&B. See if I've got any R&B that might be something that's not too deep, heavy R&B, but something that's going to just, maybe appeal to someone else in the group. Let's see. You can kind of think about if you're in that 90s, groove. A little Mariah Carey wouldn't be bad, but she might be a little bit too, I don't know. She's kind of poppy. That's the problem. So these are the kind of things that I do, and I want to curate the right kind of playlist for folks. And I think it's a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun to go through this and pull out what are these gems that might be perfect for the group, and keep it exciting for you, keep it exciting for your guests. I think that's part of the fun of it. And I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me for some R&B that would really go well. That I think would maybe some Mariah Carey, maybe some Always Be My Baby. I'm gonna drop her in there. And you know what? If I always tell my couples, if I'm playing something and you're like, and they're not gonna hear these songs anyway because they're getting their pictures taken, but let's say they did hear me drop some Mariah Carey and she's like, that's too poppy or whatever. I tell my couples, if you hear something that's not fitting the, what you want, or you're not liking that song for whatever reason, maybe you just don't like Mariah Carey and you never told me, whatever, just look at me and do this, get out of it. I'll get out of it and I'll be smooth about it. Anyway, you guys can kind of see what I mean by, curating, playing around, and having some fun with it. You know what? I bet you some Hakuna Matata would be fun with this group. They are definitely a Hakuna Matata. I'm going to pull that one in for dinner. I don't know. I just saw that as I love just bouncing around my playlist and just kind of thinking, like, what fits well with the couple, That'll fit well with the couple, I think. They're going to appreciate that. Okay, as I go through this, I'm going to finish my planning, and I'm going to go through and, of course, fill up all the music that I need in my playlists. I'm going to kind of take their advice and their selections for dance, and I'm going to build off of there, just like every other wedding that I plan and every other event. But I hope you guys got to see a little bit behind, the curtain on my process anyway. I'm sure you guys have your own process, but it's always good. I find I learn a lot when I can see what other people are doing, because I learn some tricks and some tips and some other things. So that is it for this video. And please, if you like what you're seeing on our channel, please subscribe. And we'll be making great videos and content on ideas and tips and different things that might inspire you to improve and do some different things with your mobile DJ components and your processes. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.